Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of my Greek Orthodox Odyssey. You're probably wondering where I am today. I'm on George Street in Parramatta, just next door to the St. Ioannis Greek Orthodox Church, and I've just come out of a meeting, an extraordinary meeting held by the church committee regarding gaining the blessing and permission of the people of the church to put in an offer to buy this property. Let me just show you where it sits, and we'll just discuss what was talked about at the meeting. Next door, that massive building over there with the land in front is the land on which the new St. Ioannis, the baptizers church, Aios Ioannis of Baptistis, will get built, hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years. This site here originally was the Parramatta Workers Club that was put up for sale about 7 years ago, and I'll just give you some history. So if we look behind this building, one of the tallest buildings in Parramatta, you can just see it behind the chimney there, was the site of our original church. St. Ioannis was located on Hassel Street. And be it good fortune or be it a blessing from God, the owner of the site next door to the original church wanted to buy the church, the land that the church was on, to expand his footprint to enable him to build one of the tallest buildings in Parramatta. And of course, through that activity, he would have made a lot of money himself. So I forget what the sums were, but I'll just use some numbers which may be close. But I think they offered us about $13 or $14 million for the site in Hassel Street. And this site here was up for sale for around about the same amount of money. So the church committee took a punt, took a leap of faith, and put in an offer for this site, and won the bid, and we purchased this site. And the other site, of course, was demolished and a new building put up. But with this site here came, I think, about 230 parking spaces, a number of buildings. So immediately we were able, or the church committee was able, to lease out space and start earning an income. The committee was saying today that when we took over this site here, they only had about $200,000 in their accounts. But last year, for example, the worst COVID year, the worst year on record, they were able to bank $500,000, $500,000. And within those 7 years, they've been able to accumulate $2.5 million of cash by properly managing the asset that we have here. And we've also got church facilities within the building, temporary church facilities, and the dream, the goal, and the DA actually has been approved for a Byzantine basilica to go over there on that lawn area. It will be built there. The The altar will be at the other end, and at this end here will be the entrance. The western end will be the entrance, and the eastern end, which is the other end, will be where the altar is. And from the entrance to this building over here will be about 25 metres or so. So I'll just go through a few of the things that were discussed at the meeting. So this heritage building here, this beautiful, most beautiful heritage building, is owned by New South Wales government, and they want to sell it. Don't know why, but they want to sell it. And the first thing that people do when they want to sell something is they ask the neighbours, first of all, if they're interested. And then if the neighbours aren't interested, then they'll put it to auction. But for our church, for this site next door, it is a great opportunity to be able to extend your footprint, because across the road we've got the Parramatta River. There's no development across the road. We've got the development on this site, which is the church site, and then we've got this building here that we can buy, and next door to this building is park area, and behind this building is a big, massive park area. So, as you can understand, this asset, this investment, this supplement of land and airspace and opportunity is ideal for St. Ioannis to take advantage of. So to cut a long story short, negotiations were had. The committee got the blessing from the Archbishop and the Bishop to go ahead and do whatever the parishioners were happy to do. And today they put it to the church group for a vote, and they made an offer of $5 million, which is pending acceptance. But as the committee members said, as the chairperson said, the president, they didn't have to engage the parish on this decision. They didn't have to do an extraordinary church meeting to discuss it and vote for it. They could have done it on their own accord. But they found that it was their duty to seek our blessing and to open it up to questions, so that they were 100% transparent to each and every person, and whoever had any issues or questions could raise them. And as we said, it was put to a majority vote and overwhelmingly accepted. There were 3 against and many for the motion of buying this site here, which is 2,600 square metres in the heartland of Parramatta. As I said, across the road from the Parramatta River, we've got the light rail passing directly in front of the building. We've got the Powerhouse Museum going to be built just down the road, and everywhere you look, there are skyscrapers sprouting out of the ground and coming forth. So Parramatta is the centre of Sydney. It's the second CBD, but it won't be long before the development around Parramatta makes Parramatta probably the busiest and the most important business hub in Australia. One of the challenges, or one of the questions that was raised, and I'll raise it now that I'm here, I can see it, is that between the church site, which is there, and the new site, which is hopefully going to be purchased, there's a small area here, which is a council car park. A council car park, which can park up to, I think, 32 vehicles. So the building, the heritage building, has right of access to be able to get traffic in and out onto George Street. So that comes with the purchase of the property. One of the challenges that this site here faces is that one of the exits onto George Street up the other end there has been closed off because New South Wales Rail, the people who operate the light rail, have basically shut it off because of the dangers of cars coming out of a car park and going across the light rail lines. But the beauty about this side here is that because this is a council car park and the building next to it has a right of access through the council car park, this exit and entry to this area will be available for the proposed purchase site, for the council car park, and what the committee was saying is that they're going to work with council to be able to take out a couple of the car spots which are located somewhere around here and negotiate a right of use from this property through the council car park onto George Street. So if they can do that, it will be absolutely magnificent. So we've come a long way. We've come a long way, but we've come a long way with God's grace, with God's blessing, and the cooperation and collaboration of a lot of dedicated and very good people. Because as we said, it was a leap of faith. This site here was purchased without a DA for a church, without a DA for running a church within those buildings. So there were a lot of unknowns. But with the grace of God and everything working perfectly, we were able to not only get a DA for a newly built, magnificent Byzantine basilica, we also have a DA for an expanded parking area on the other side of this building, a commercial parking area for hundreds of vehicles, hundreds of paying vehicles. And the church committee today were explaining to us how it's going to work. So to build a new basilica will cost upwards of $5 million, which we don't really have, and we don't really want to tap people to come up with that money. So the commercially minded leadership team have thought of other ways of coming up with the money, and one of the ways is to do a BOT style of arrangement: build, operate and terminate arrangement, where they provide the land to a developer or to an operator or to an organisation that runs car parks, and get them to take all the risk, to build the car park, to manage the car park, and at the end of the lease, whenever that may be, to terminate or hand over the car park to the lessor, with the proviso that with a 10-year lease that they get with 5-year options, or whatever the deal is, whatever the deal that they strike, that the operator who builds and maintains and manages the car park, makes money out of the car park, will also build the church for the church community of Parramatta. So that way there is no risk on the members of the church. It gets funded, and it's done in collaboration. It's done in partnership with a third party who will use the other side of the church, where it's the car park at the moment, to develop and make a car park and make money out of that, so that we benefit, they benefit, we all benefit. And by having this additional facility here, which is zoned for multiple uses, it can be used as a preschool, it can be used as a school, it can be used as a hospital, it can be used as a function centre, it can be used as a bar, a restaurant. There are a number of uses that this building can be put to. And I guess one of the issues is, how do you manage and maintain a heritage building? That'll be one of the challenges that we face. But 2,600 square metres in the middle of Parramatta for $5 million is an opportunity that you simply can't waste. Because what we don't want, given our past, when we had the church at Hassel Street, Parramatta, and we got built all around, we had no parking spaces. And during Easter, at our midnight mass, when there were thousands of people there and we had tall buildings around us, there were occasions there that they'd be throwing bottles, cans, eggs, water down on the parishioners. And there were a lot of parishioners who got concerned and said, look, I'm not going to come to church to celebrate Easter anymore for fear of being injured, for fear of being ridiculed. So by buying this site here and owning this site, or owning the rights to this site, the church committee can select who the tenant is going to be or how they're going to operate it, so that it's not a tenant who could cause us problems, cause us issues later on, and that we have proper use of our religious site without having to be answerable to our neighbours, so to speak. And as I mentioned, on the other side is a park, behind us is a park. So, for functions, for gala days, for carnivals, there may be an opportunity to lease out an area of the park, to set up tents, to set up stalls, and have that as an extension of this church facility, this money-making church facility. And I say money-making in the proper sense. It's money-making so it can be self-sufficient. It can provide programs for the future to serve God and to serve each other, to run schools. This, for example, here, one day could eventually be a school. There are many examples where buildings are maintained intact, their heritage remains unchanged, and a building can be built above the asset. So who knows where the future lies, but one thing for sure and for certain is that this site here, if God wills it to be part of the footprint of Saint Ioannis, the Baptist, then it's going to be something that's going to be tremendous for future generations to come. Anyway, I'd like to extend my congratulations and my thanks to the President, to the committee, for everybody who works tirelessly to keep this church, to keep the grounds operating. It all is seamless, or appears to be seamless, but I know there's a lot of pressure because there are people who have different views. But I voted for the purchase of this site next door because I remember my parents, my family, my uncles, my aunts would always say, when it comes to the church that goes on in perpetuity, that every investment, every donation that you make to serve God and to serve future communities is money well spent. And if you miss the opportunity now, the opportunity may never come back again. So I pray, I hope that for Father Dimitri, for Cosma, and all of the people on the committee, that this deal goes through and that one day we can call it our own and be able to come here, or my children or grandchildren will be able to come here and to savour the benefits, the ongoing future benefits that they, their children and future communities would be able to savour and enjoy. Anyway, take care everybody. Thank you very much for hearing me out. As I said, it was a very challenging day today at the meeting. It did get a bit heated, but in the end, the majority rules, the majority voted, and the motion was carried. Take care, Yassas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now from this most beautiful gem. A little bit unloved at the moment, but I'm sure when the Greek Orthodox Church takes over, the love will come back. Yassas, and bye for now.